Hello and welcome to Spotlight. You're watching MX24 television, where we keep conversations very relevant. Today, we are wading into a story that emerged 2 weeks ago about a father whose ward had been denied participation in the ongoing Ramadan fast by his school, Wesley Girls Senior High School. Now, the school's reasons were, according to them, based on Methodist principles that did not permit students to fast, irrespective of faith. Now, between then and now, there have been several developments which we want to question and understand the different perspectives that have been put forward. There has been a national debate with different people contributing and even regular Ghanaians contributing to the dialogue. What should be allowed and what should not be allowed? What are religious rights of students, essentially? Many parties have contributed to this discussion, as I mentioned, and included among these parties is Parliament's Muslim Caucus. That's Parliament's Muslim Caucus, the school's administration, and old students of the school. Also, this has led to some psychological and sociological questions, especially after some old Muslim students of the school started sharing their experiences while they were students of the school. I'll just give you a quick timeline of the developments, which started somewhere April 27. A bipartisan group visited the school and held talks with the school's administration. Then the Ghana Education Service issued a directive to allow fasting on May 3. On the back of that, the Methodist Church, who were not too enthused about GES's directive, also responded, and in their response cautioned the Ghana Education Service to respect the good relationship that has existed between mission schools and government. This release came on May 4th. Now, the school's Parent-Teacher Association also released a supporting statement on the same day and urged the Ghana Education Service to reconsider their directive, which was to allow fasting. The Chief Imam's office also got involved at this point, releasing their own statement on May 6. Now, the school's Old Girls Association on the same day came out to back the Parent-Teacher Association statement, stressing that the no fasting policy was more for welfare reasons than religious discrimination, which they had been accused of at some point. Now, what are the varying perspectives and how do they contribute to the solutions that we're looking for? What is the most progressive solution at the end of the day? A solution that ensures that these situations do not recur. We're going to be asking those questions here on Spotlight. There's also a coalition of Muslim organizations that held a press conference earlier today. We'll be hearing from them to understand their perspective also. At the end of the day, we just want to ensure that there is an amicable solution and there is better information available to all parties. Spotlight will be back after the break. Please stay with us.
Unique, contemporary, engaging. Introducing the ultimate talk show that captures, scrutinizes, and stirs up conversations around relevant content across the globe. We talk to the movers and shakers in the tech, youth entrepreneurship, creative arts industry, and many more. Join me, Kwame A. Opoku, usher you to the realm beyond the headlines, new tech releases, trends, and clicks. It's going to be a fun ride on MS Conversations.
Celebrities should be able to understand that political seasons come and go.
If a woman is running for a CEO or a COO something and then she's not married, then This woman is going to be rude.
Politics is the act of, decision making.
You go to school and you learn a bunch of stuff that really you don't end up using. So then what's the purpose?
The quantum of graduates coming out of school every year, they realize that the job is inadequate.
Because you pay attention, because you know more than one angle, and see more than one opportunity. We bring you Build a Bet. Multiple legs as a single bet on one game. Raising the odds and elevating your experience.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years.
You know, texting while driving isn't safe, and you're calling for a video call.
But why you they do long? Just seconds, keke. I be you know that, eh? Spoil me with some fine sense.
Babe, are you okay? What just happened, babe? Babe, are you okay? What just happened?
Once upon a memory, an iconic representation of the most powerful love in the world was showcased. The light of love that never gets dim. A mother's love. This Mother's Day. Hold up. This Mother's Month. MX24's got the perfect treat for our mothers and mother figures. Who be your mommy? All you have to do is open a CBG account for your mommy figure with a minimum deposit of 100 Ghana cedis. Then link the account to *924# mobile banking service. Now tell us what makes this mommy special and why we have to honor her via our DM on social media handles Facebook and Instagram at MX24GH and at CBG Bank Limited. The best entry selected will be rewarded with cash prizes from CBG. Charlie, don't slack ho. Be the reason for mommy's excitement this month of May. We did do one for mommy. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Spotlight on MX24 television. My name is Nuong Falong. Before we went on the break, I did mention that we're going to be discussing the case of a Muslim student who was allegedly denied a right to participate in the Ramadan fasting by her school, Wesley Girls High School. There have been different and varying perspectives to this particular incident, and we are seeking to understand the different perspectives and how they contribute to a progressive way forward. Now, I'm just quickly going to take one of the statements that has been released in connection to this story by the Muslim caucus in Parliament. And this was a press release issued by the Catholic Bishops' Conference and the Christian Council of Ghana on the Wesley Girls High School Muslim fasting impasse. Now, the Muslim caucus in Parliament of Ghana and Muslim stakeholders under the able leadership of the National Chief Imam, His Eminence Chief Dr. Osman Nuhu Sharabutu, have received with extreme disappointment the communique issued by the Catholic Bishops' Conference and the Christian Council of Ghana, which was dated 5th May 2021. Now, to prevent the Muslim students at Wesley Girls High School from fasting in the holy month of Ramadan. The endorsement of the position of the Methodist Church came by the Catholic Bishops' Conference and Christian Council of Ghana came as a shock to Muslim leaders. It also calls into question the years of partnership and mutual cooperation that has existed between Muslim stakeholders under the able leadership of the National Chief Imam and these Christian bodies. I'm reading from the statement. Now, we state that if fasting, one of the key pillars of Islam, could be treated by the Methodist Church Ghana, the Christian Council of Ghana, and the Catholic Bishops' Conference in such a cavalier and flippant manner on the basis of unscientific, spurious and trumped-up reasons, then our constitutional values of freedom of religion, religious diversity, and tolerance are at stake and in great peril. We further are taken aback by the stance of the Catholic Bishops' Conference and the Christian Council of Ghana in encouraging Wesley Girls High School and the Methodist Church of Ghana to disregard a lawful directive by the Ghana Education Service for the authorities of Wesley Girls High School to allow any such student who wishes to fast for any religious reasons to be able to do so. We consider this attack on the authority of the Ghana Education Service to be highly troubling as it undermines state authority and further sets a bad precedent. Moreover, we find it unacceptable for any religious group to hide behind the veil of majority or religious traditions to unleash tyranny and intolerance on the faith and cardinal doctrine of other faiths. If the disingenuous and dangerous argument of majority and religious tradition is allowed to hold sway, our country will be driven apart in our regions, districts, schools, neighborhoods, markets, businesses, state institutions, among others. It must be stated that such dangerous arguments belong to a bygone era and have no place in modern democracy like ours. Still reading from the statement, we wish to be absolutely clear: the just struggle for religious freedom and expression for all Ghanaians, irrespective of faith, in public-funded institutions is no respecter of majority and constitutionally harmful religious traditions. We further state that we would never relent in our efforts to defend our constitutional values of freedom of religion, religious diversity and tolerance. Today, Muslim leadership met the Minister of Education to deliberate over the matter. We are pleased by the assurances of the Minister that this matter will be amicably resolved. We therefore entreat the Muslim Ummah and the good people of Ghana to continue to exercise self-restraint in the face of this coordinated attack on Ghana's constitutional values and the authority of state institutions. As we stated in our press statement issued on May 5, 2021, Ghana has been an oasis of peace within the sub-region and indeed across Africa due to the peaceful coexistence and mutual respect that exists among various religious groups in the country, especially Muslims and Christians. It is therefore our duty as Muslim leaders to preserve this practice. In this regard, we will continue to engage the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service GES to cordially resolve the matter in the interest of national peace, unity and harmony. In the meantime, still reading from the statement, we call on the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service to strictly enforce the directive to allow any Muslim student who wishes to fast for any religious reason to be able to do so. We will in the near future advise all Muslims in Ghana on the right course of action that will help protect and safeguard the rights of Muslims and Muslim students in Ghana. God bless us all and bless our homeland, Ghana. This was signed by Honorable Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, his Member of Parliament, also part of the Muslim caucus in Parliament. And that was on Monday, 10/2021. Now we are going to be joined by different stakeholders We have Master Musa, who's joining us from the Coalition of Muslim Organizations. He's joining us via Zoom. Hello, sir. Good evening. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight. We'll be coming to you shortly for some more detail on the press conference and questions that have arisen in relation to that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. We'll also be joined by a sociologist, Dr. Christopher Ampedu. He's joining us via phone. Hello, sir. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
We're grateful for your time. We'll also be joined by Honorable Al-Hassan Suyini, who is Tamale North Member of Parliament, also a member of the Muslim Caucus. He's on the line with us right now. Hello, Honorable. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on Spotlight.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me.
We are grateful.
To my colleagues on this.
We're grateful for your time. Alaikum salam. We'll be back to that shortly. But in the meantime, let me hear from Master Musa, because they just held a press conference. And we would like to hear more about what transpired during the press conference. Hello, good evening, Master Musa.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
My name is Mansa Musa, ESQ.
Mansa Musa, that's a very old name, eh?
Yes, ESQ, I'm a member of the HOMO.
Right.
And we had our press conference this afternoon. All that's asking for is peace and calm. And also, we netted out our demands from the authorities, that's the GES and the MOE, and also the government. And also, I must applaud the parliament, the Muslim Caucus Parliament. They've done really well. Mr. Alasan Tuhini, Honorable Muntaka, we are grateful for their effort. May Allah bless them. We appreciate them. And also, what I was saying that we've lived in Ghana for all these years. Imam on several occasions has made sure showed love and compassion to the Christian community. But this issue has taken us aback. So all that we are calling for, so all the stakeholders to come on board to make sure we solve this issue and make up. So I don't know if you have a copy of our press release, or you would like to go through some of the music or our demands.
Mansa Musa, give me a moment to come back to you. In the meantime, if you could please just reduce the volume or just turn off. There's an extra device with you that's giving us some feedback. It's making it hard to hear you.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know if it's a television set or a radio set. If you can just turn that off.
I'm still at the conference center. I'm not there.
Right. Right.
So you go back before you come out. I'll just conserve.
That's great. I'll come right back to you. Then let me go to Mr. Before I go to Honorable Suyini. Now, we were also scheduled to have some of the old students of Wesley Girls High School who had expressed, put out their experiences out there, were supposed to join us, but the two of them, in fact, they pulled out at the last minute. If you have been following this conversation, and this is to our viewers, you do know that there have been some old students of the school who have detailed their experiences as Muslim students in the school. We were scheduled to speak with them today. They were supposed to be part of this discussion, but they pulled out at the very last minute, saying they were going to discuss further with the school. Apparently, the school has reached out to them, and they're trying to solve it in a more amicable manner, which is allowed, but just so you know. So, Honorable Suhini.
Yes.
Honorable, so far, at this point of the discussion, are we looking at any amicable solution?
Yes, it is the best approach, because we have a country that we all so dearly love and cherish. A country that has as one of its best selling points the peace and especially tolerance of divergent religious views. Outside this country, one of the things that people celebrate our country for
is our religious tolerance. So when there are disagreements, like we are having now, the best approach is dialogue, and dialogue in anticipation that it will lead to an amicable solution, because it's in the interest of all of us, Muslims, Christians, and non-believers who are Ghanaians, that we resolve this in an amicable way. And we need to be reminded by the dictates of our Constitution. We are a country governed by laws, the supreme one being the Constitution. And it wasn't for nothing that our forebears decided that this country should not be founded on any religious belief, but that it must remain a secular state. Even at the time that the Constitution was written, it was common knowledge that Christians are in the majority, but that did not sway our forebears, who were wise enough to make Ghana a Christian country, or to declare it as such. To make Ghana and declare it a secular state. And if you permit me, I'll just make references to two provisions under the Directive Principles of State Policy in the 1992 Constitution. It's in Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Article 35(3). Article 35(3) says, the state shall promote just and reasonable access by all citizens to public facilities and services in accordance with law. The emphasis here for me is access by all citizens to public facilities and services. Now, let us not forget that these schools, whether they are mission schools or not, are public institutions of state. And so all citizens are supposed to have access to those facilities. And the state is enjoined to promote that every citizen, gets access to those facilities. Then you also have, under the same Directive Principles of State Policy, Chapter 38, I think it's 38(1). I'm just quickly opening to that. Yeah, 38(1). It says, the state shall provide educational facilities at all levels and in all the regions of Ghana, and shall, to the greatest extent feasible, make those facilities available to all citizens. So again, even in the area of educational facilities, you have it explicitly stated in 38(1) that the state is to provide those facilities at all levels in all regions of Ghana, and to the greatest extent feasible, make those facilities available to all citizens of Ghana. So it is important that despite our religious beliefs, if we are a law-abiding people, that we recognize that any form of discrimination or segregation amounts to an affront to the Constitution that we all, have ascribed to. It is so sad that it is especially coming from people you will expect to know better. In this case, the Christian Council, the Methodist, church and the other, leaders of these missions that are, the reason why we are having this conversation. I am, however, encouraged, and I'm sure most Muslims are encouraged by the spirited, defense, and if you like, condemnation of the posture of some of these Christian leaders by many well-meaning Christians in this country. That is who we are. We stand up for each other. It should not matter, and it doesn't matter whether our faith is under attack unfairly or not. We must, as a people, knowing very well, like we often say, that we are one people with a common destiny, understand that the denial of the right of one is a threat to our own rights. And that is why I am very excited that very well-meaning Christians from all walks of life have either written or spoken out in condemnation of the posture of the Christian Council of Ghana and the bodies that have come together to promote what can best be described
Honorable,
as bigotry and segregation.
Although we know that there are a lot of people who have spoken in favor of the Muslim students who are Christians, we also know that some people think we are blowing this entire situation out of proportion. Could it be the case that this is being blown more out of proportion than it actually is?
It is not the case that it is being blown out of proportion. I think that a stitch in time saves nine. And let me just take you a little back. Yesterday, it came up in our discussions with the Minister of Education and the GES.
Okay.
That the first petition from Muslim groups to the GES raising such discrimination and acts of segregation was first filed in 1987. 87.
From the same school?
Since then, a number of activities have taken place, all aimed at resolving this mindset that some people have in our various public institutions, especially towards Muslims. You recall that in 2007-2008, I think in the Western region, students had to be chased to his death when he jumped from a story building because he was being forced to go to the church. You recall? It generated similar attention that as we speak, one would have thought that we will not be having this conversation again. But here we are. Again, I think, that particular event led to a dialogue that was held under the auspices of the National Peace Council, where all stakeholders were brought together. A resolution was adopted, a communique issued, and the GES was supposed to go through to implement the regulations so that some semblance of peace could be achieved. That was in 2015. Why are we still having to discuss this? So sometimes when you hear reports of spillover, conflict, and you are unable to understand why a matter as simple as it is reported can result in such mayhem, you need to perhaps address yourself to the fact that perhaps it's been a long-standing issue that has been neglected or that has been addressed partially, not to the satisfaction of all, and that has led to a small issue, packing it. Like I'm telling you today, God forbid, if Bushra's case had led to some Muslim youth getting violent and getting extremist, people would have wondered why a simple denial of a girl from fasting will lead to such violence. But they would have forgotten that the first petition against such discrimination and segregation was filed in 1987. And there have been discussions and dialogue series and engagement to, resolve such issues. So we are happy that it is getting the level of attention that it is getting now.
Right.
It is not being blown out of proportion. It is our hope that this time around we will all find it in our hearts, find space in our, institutions to make lasting, regulations, to enact lasting regulations that will perhaps prevent this from ever happening again, so that people will know that one of our best selling points as a country is our ability to tolerate each other's religious views and to coexist with each other despite our differences. Why? The chief imam is hailed for his level of tolerance for all manner of people. Why don't our Christian brothers in leadership? Because I don't want to believe it is all Christians. Like I've said, we have heard those who have spoken up against the posture of their leaders. But don't our Christian leaders also want to be praised for such level of tolerance? So shouldn't they be emulating that example that they so, much cherish in the chief imam? And look, maybe a final one. It came to light that the three immediate past presiding bishops of the Methodist Church actually graduated from CI Ahmadiyya, a Muslim mission school, where they were not compelled to become Muslim, where they were not denied their right to practice their faith as Christians. Isn't it ironic that they will have that posture as leaders of the Methodist Church today, given their experience and example that they lived when they schooled at CI Ahmadiyya?
I see. Honorable, let me interject at this point. I'm going to come back to you because, we want to hear more of that, and I have a few follow-up questions for you. But I want to bring in Mansa Musa, who I was speaking to earlier. But we had an issue with his line there. He is from the Coalition of Muslim Organizations. Mansa Musa, I hope your line is clearer now. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Great. I can hear you very clearly now. Now, if you can just take us through the key points. Take us through the key points of your release today.
Our release was basically on the way as to how to solve this issue, and we met our demands like we want how do you call Mr. Honorable Onina, Samuel Onina, right? We want his position to be stripped off, and also asking the government.
I'm sorry, if you can go over that again. You want Honorable
Samuel Onina, the chairman of the Scripture Union.
Right.
We want him to be stripped off his position, and also
okay. Why? Let me just let's take that one at a time. Why do you want him to be stripped off his position?
Per what he has done, he has not demonstrated maturity in this matter, and as a leader of such a great institution, we shouldn't spew anything less of peace and unity. Hope you understand me. So in such issues, we should step aside for investigations. And also what we are calling for is the government to implement. If Honorable is there, Honorable remind me, there was 2015, there was a peace meeting or peace treaty between the Peace Council, Christian Council and the Muslim Ummah at the Pufena Peacekeeping Center. If Honorable is there, he can remind me. So we want government to implement that policy because it was a change of government. After the change of government, they were unable to continue the business because the government changed. What do I mean? Hello, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
What I'm saying is, the change of government at 2016 brought the whole process to a halt. So what I'm asking the government, we're asking the government to do is go back to that report, and if there's a continuation, let's continue with the process so we can bring this process, all these issues to a grand halt. So we're not going back and forth this issue when they arise. Because we thought way back then when it came on, we thought that meeting or the deliberations with the three parties would have solved the whole issue. You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand you.
So we're asking the government to go back to that deliberation that went on. If they did not finish, they should make sure they get the stakeholders on board. They finish it so they can implement the necessary actions that were netted in there. That's what we're asking for. So we know by that peace and unity will come, and serenity will come to our system. That's what we're asking for.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. When you ask for Dr. Samuel's position to be stripped of him, isn't that a bit of a heated reaction? Doesn't it further foment tempests already that are high?
Yes, because per what he said in an audio that is circulating in circulation, we're asking that he step aside for investigations to go on. By that, when he comes back, maybe tempests will have come down by then he can come in a serious position by then.
Right. Mansa Musa, which audio are you referring to specifically?
And the audio which was threatening the president that he will vote against him if they don't allow...
Okay. So this is Dr. Samuel Fori's audio. Okay. The one where he threatens to organize a demonstration against government.
To vote against government. But what I'm saying is, Madam, are you there?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Are you there?
Yes.
All that we're asking for is that this shouldn't be like somebody should come and defend the indefensible. It is not against the Christendom or the Muslimdom. This is a duty of the nation. And as I said earlier on, we applaud the parliament group, Muslim caucus. We are grateful. We appreciate that they've done a lot. May Allah richly bless and accept their fast. And also, what I'm asking is, even if we're a Muslim or a Christian, you shouldn't come and defend based on where you stand. Let's sit down, analyze this critically, because this and many more can hurt the peace and tolerance we've enjoyed all these years. Are you with me?
I am with you.
So it's necessary we come back to the table. Let's all sit down and see where we've gone wrong and right these wrongs. We can do it. We've done it before. I know we can. Because, Madam, one issue we raised was that we don't understand why recently GES has been in defiance all this while. Recently, I just wanted to fight them. They went scot-free, and now Western guys doing the same thing. What is happening? What at the GES? What is happening? What has been the change in position and their position? Because we know these schools are under their jurisdictions. They take care of them. So why should they go contrary to their instructions? So we also want to inquire from the GES and the MOE, Ministry of Education, why are they relenting in their rules? Or don't they have strict or like rules that governs they and the schools they operate? You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand.
So and also we were saying Parliament should come clear on the stance on, because the Parliament were involved in the 2015 stakeholder meetings that went on. They were involved. So honorable will help us. They should go back to that report. If they did not finish, they should finish it and make sure we have a clear-cut rules and regulations concerning Muslims and Christian schools and Christians and Muslim schools. So we don't go back and forth these issues again. My point is clear.
Yes, your point is very,
so
very...
That's all we're asking for. That's what we're asking for, because you cannot enjoy our wachi and sack Amina in your school. It does not, because even right in front of their school, there's a woman selling wachi there. Everybody enjoys the wachi. I've been there, I was there last week, so I know what I'm talking about. Even in front of the school, they sell wachi there. And I know the wachi they enjoy very much. How do you enjoy our wachi and now our students not to fast? Madam. So we are asking, we are not nobody should think this is like it's a fight against Christianity. Nobody is really to fight Christianity. And I also want to urge those pastors, Osu Bemba, and all those pastors. Ghana is all of us. We should be bold and strong to defend our nation. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Ghana is all we have. We can't destroy, because I was in Cote d'Ivoire when the route started, and I had a fair share. So I fear anytime somebody is propagating violence. It's anything nobody, it's nothing nobody should at least even think of, because it's not like it's not people. It destabilizes everything, because if there is violence, nobody will go to church, so you go to offering. So let's all pray for peace and unity. And I'm grateful. But once again, we are grateful for the Parliament Caucus, Muslim Caucus. You've done a human job. Honorable Suhini, may Allah to bless you. You've done a good job. Honorable Muntaka Bobara, everybody on that panel, may Allah to bless you. We are grateful, and we are ready to cooperate with you on many occasions to make sure this issue is settled once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mansa Musa, who's a member of the Coalition of Muslim Organizations. He's just going over some of the details in a press statement that was released earlier today concerning this particular incident of a Muslim student at the Wesley Girls' School who was allegedly denied the right to participate in the Ramadan fasting. The issue, as we detailed earlier, has since taken on different dimensions with different parties contributing to the dialogue. One of the key pointers in the statement released by the Coalition of Muslim Organizations is the call for Dr. Samuel Forion to be stripped of his position at the National Advisory Council of the Scripture Union. If you don't know, Dr. Samuel, he released an audio yesterday quite incensed about what he claims is government's in slowness in interfering, and he wants government to interfere in a very straightforward manner in support of the church and the school. I'm going to go to a sociologist who's on the line with us. I'm going to go to Honorable Sohini again shortly. Hopefully he's still on the line. Dr. Christopher Ampedu is a sociologist, and we want him to speak to the psychological aspect of this issue. Hello, Doc. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I hope you're hearing me clearly.
I can hear you clearly, thankfully.
Yeah. I would speak not from the psychological, but from the sociological.
Right.
Now, you see, the issue being discussed has to do with religion. And all religions go with faith. Right. Now, faith are things that relate to the theologian, the imams, and the theologians of the Christian faith. Now, that is so important. I speak as sociology because I speak from the sociological perspective of religion. I'm a teacher and a lecturer in sociology of religion. And as far as that is concerned, faith goes with churches, with mosques, and with shrines, because that is the places where faith is expressed. Now, I am speaking to it because...
Hello? Dr. Ampedu. Dr. Ampedu, I think we've lost you over there, but we're going to try to reach you again because Dr. Ampedu was giving us quite a critical angle to the whole dialogue. I'm going to go back to Honorable Al-Hassan Suyini, who is Tamale North Member of Parliament, also a member of the Muslim Caucus, who have been speaking extensively on this particular incident. Honorable Suyini.
Right.
So here is a question I have for you. There's a welfare aspect that has been attributed to this, especially from the Old Students Association, who believe that this is more from a welfare angle, where they do not want any medical conditions or the students' studies to be interfered in any way by them fasting. Is it possible that students fasting will affect their studies in any way? And who takes liability if this happens?
Well, I think that, with all due respect, it's also ignorant for one to suggest that fasting necessarily leads to health complications. In fact, It is the contrary. If you, actually make the time to research, into fasting, you realize that it rather, when done well and appropriately, detoxifies the body and puts it in a better shape. So it is completely out of ignorance for anybody to suggest that fasting necessarily leads to health complications. Even with that knowledge, as Muslims, we did not think that there was a need for parents to have to consent before their children who are, by our religious ethics, at that age are adults and can and should fast before they are allowed to fast. But even when the GS made it a condition, I think that as leaders of the Muslim couples, bipartisan, by the way, we thought that it was, a reasonable middle ground.
Right,
So
because
that,
at this point, if it has come in and everyone is trying to avoid being held liable for any fallout.
Exactly.
Right.
So we thought that it's okay. I mean, if the teachers and the school administrators are, trying to run away from liability in case, something happens when a child fasts, it is okay for the parents to, take that liability. After all, it is
So
part
do you
of
think
your
this
duty
should
as a
be
parent. Part of your
included?
duty as a parent to mold and help shape the future of your children.
Honorable, should this become a sort of agreement that the parents just sign so they don't have to revisit the issue? If you want your child to participate in fasting, you just sign it when the child is admitted.
It doesn't even have to get to that point. But, I mean, because we all want this to work, we don't want to be too fastidious
An
about
easy
it.
way
But
forward.
I'm saying it doesn't have to get to that point. Look, when you take your children to school and they engage in sports and activities, between sporting activities and fasting, which has the highest potential of threat to the health of your child? Are you as a parent required to sign that if your child gets hurt in the course of sporting activities, you are not liable? I mean, so why do we do that when it comes to this? Those are some of the ways that people feel discriminated and segregated against. When you say that sport is okay, you can accept the liability if anything happens, and students are put in a basketball pitch with their fingers and hands all over the place that each other. They are put to play football that they can break each other's legs. You don't ask parents to sign. But despite all of these reservations, when the GS even gave that directive, we were still willing to make do. But I'm saying when you push these things, you only further, contribute to the perception that you are being discriminatory. And it is not healthy. It's not helpful for any of us. Like I have told you, we have had Christians who have attended Muslim mission schools, and they were never compelled. Their parents were not, asked to sign anything when the school, for example, facilitated on Sunday by providing them a bus to take them to church. You could have said, the school could have said that, oh, we want parents to sign that in case we are transporting your child to church on Sunday and the child gets hurt, we are not liable. I mean, why do we have to do this at this time, at this age? I think that people begin to, disabuse their mind of certain prejudices that they have against some group of people. It is the prejudice that people have that lead them to become irrational in some of the decisions that they make or the approach that they adopt towards or in dealing with such groupings. It is unhealthy. We must keep an open mind towards each other so that we can continue to learn from each other even as we disagree with each other's way of life. It is what has kept this country together all these years. It is, I continue to say, one of our best selling points. Let's not destroy it. Let's not destroy it. So I think that it is needless, but even if that is the way that, authorities want to go under the circumstance, I don't see why any parent will refuse to sign such a document if it is made available. Even though I think it is needless, even though I think it is another reason why people can feel discriminated against or segregated. But if that is what we want, let us do it. And look, my brother Master Musa was making reference to, the communique that was adopted in 2015 after a dialogue series under the auspices of the National Peace Council. There was give and take. There were middle ground, adopted. All parties were not fully satisfied. But in the end, what was adopted is something we believe, if implemented to the latter, can provide the level of peace that is required for, academics to progress in our educational institutions and in our public institutions, for productive work to also be done. For example, some of the Muslims wanted at the time for students who attended, Muslim mission schools to also wear the hijab, just as their Muslim counterparts.
Honorable Suyene,
yes.
Sorry, let me just come back to you in a moment, because we've been joined again by Dr. Christopher Ampedu, who
unfortunately, I'm also just running into another engagement.
Right, then you can just round up with us. Yeah.
So let me just wrap up on that one. So the point I was making is that both parties at that dialogue in 2015 did not have their way, but made compromises that I believe, if implemented by the GS, with support of all of us, we can have the necessary, ecosystem that is required for productive work, either at the public sector or good, teaching and learning in the education sector. And I'll give you the example of hijab, how some of the Muslim mission schools wanted children who were not, Muslims to also wear the hijab. In the end, it was agreed that they could attend without wearing the hijab. And again, you had the issue of Muslims also in Christian mission schools, where the understanding was that they could be allowed to pray once, the time did not conflict with certain other equally important school duties. They could be allowed to freely practice their religion. They were not allowed. In fact, in those Christian schools, the Muslims also wanted their ward to wear hijab. But that was also shut down, that the Muslim students will not be allowed to wear hijab. And you recall that the former President Mahama, even also made a statement to this effect in, I think, one of his State of the Nation addresses, after the nurse was disallowed from wearing a hijab to work. And he said, it is wrong for you to, discriminate against Christian nuns and expect Christian nuns not to wear their, the name has just escaped me, their veil. Let me just put it that way. Their veil.
Right.
When they are going to work. You don't expect Christian nuns not to wear it. And just as you don't expect, a Muslim who choose to wear the hijab not to also wear it when they are going to work or they are in school. So these are things that we have had discussions on over the years. And I am hoping that this final discussion will lead to a resolution.
Thank
Let
you
us
so
all
much.
Disabuse our minds of the prejudices that we have against certain groups of people.
Thank you, Honorable Alhassan Suyune. He's just speaking on creating a good ecosystem for all religions to thrive within, in relation, of course, to the Muslim student situation with Wesley Girls Senior High School. I'm going to go back to Dr. Christopher Ampedu, who we lost earlier on the line, the sociologist. Hello, Doc.
Call has been...
Hello, Dr. Ampedu. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Sorry about earlier. We lost you on the line. Yes, if you can please proceed. You were making a point before.
Yeah, it was surprising the line went off. But then, what I was talking about is that, you see, we are not just talking about religiosity or religion. We are talking about the expression of religion. And this is where sociology comes in, because religion is expressed mostly in the mosque, in churches, in shrines, in temples. Now, whenever people want to express their religious beliefs publicly, in schools, or in the public domain, then you see we are entering into the area which is not confined to a temple or a mosque or a shrine. That is sociological, because you are now bringing your faith
into the society.
Now, here we find ourselves. There are some people who say that don't mix religion with politics or with governance. Why? Because they know religion is so critical, because it deals with faith. And when we talk about issues of faith, there are some people who would want to die for their faith. And we know what is happening in various places where people are killing themselves just because of their belief system. And so when these belief systems now want to come to public domain, then it's critical. We have to look at it not only from the religious point of view, but how it will impact our society, and for that matter, the Ghanaian society in general. For all these years, Christians have been living in harmony with their friends, Muslims. And in Christian schools and Islamic schools, the students from various faiths live together in harmony. Now, what is the problem now? Now, the question is, why do we then even establish Christian schools? Why do students attend Islamic schools, Adventist schools? The reason for that is that we attend these schools even though we don't belong to that faith, so that we can also learn from them their ethics, the way they express themselves, the way they carry themselves as far as that faith is concerned. And so, for example, I'm a Pentecostal, but my children attended Catholic schools. Why? Because we want to learn from them. And when they came home, what I realized that they have some ethics that is peculiar to the Catholic faith that can be integrated into my faith as a Pentecostal. And that is a learning process why we attend different schools to learn from them.
Dr. Ampedu, should the students be allowed to fast in Christian schools, supposedly Christian schools,
again,
which are public schools essentially?
You not allow me to even develop my argument, even though you have allowed these people to talk for a long time.
My apologies. And just, as you can see, I was interjecting with questions. So it's
issue of faith. Now, why do we have Methodist school, Islamic school, Adventist school? Right? It is based or built on a faith that needs to be expressed. That's why parents choose the school the children attend. Children don't just attend schools anyhow. They choose it because they love it. Parents love it. The way they do their things, their ethics, their behavior, and the harmony that goes with it. So then, you don't just send your child to an Islamic school because it is just Islamic. No. So if parents make a decision to send their schools to a Christian school, their children to a Christian school, and now you want your faith to be expressed in that school, that is where, if you don't take care, you are going to bring this confusion. People think it's just normal, but it's not. Now you are going to impose your faith on other faiths that is Christian-based or Muslim-based.
Dr.
And
Ampedu,
so Buddhists will come and spread themselves.
let me just ask again, without meaning to interject. Let me just ask again, because you were making a point that I want to understand properly. When you say, you know, when you go to a Christian or Muslim school and then you decide to practice your faith, it's like an imposition. But some of these schools we know are all now public schools. So
now,
they are open to everyone. Also, there are parents who do not necessarily choose these schools. You know, now we have the school placement system. The system can, you know, post you to any particular school that you did not choose, perhaps based on your results, but you will have to attend.
Yes, but parents have the option to allow their children to attend those schools or not.
Oh, okay. Okay,
right?
so you are basing it on choice.
You know, we say that it's public school, but we all do know that though they are public, their foundations are built on Christian or Islamic or Adventist principles. You don't go there to impose yourself that because I am this, I want to change that. You are bringing confusion. And you would not just do it because it is normal. Public is public. Now, for example, Ghana. Ghana is a secular state. But from the population census, you know that the Christian population is about 70%. And the Muslim also about 15%, altogether about 90%. Now, if I tell you that Ghana is a religious country, and then you stand there and say that it's a secular country, then it means that you don't even understand the belief system that engendered the Ghanaian public. Because religion is so endemic.
No, but if we say it's a religious country, it doesn't mean it leans towards one particular religion, does it?
Yes, but then you know what? People who belong to this belief system hold dear to their faith. Don't underrate that. And that is why if you just make it general, that, oh, yes, it is a public school, so they should be allowed to publicly express their faith in a Christian school. Some may, in the beginning, may not even see the risk that goes with it. But later on, if you don't just sit down objectively, holistically, look at it from a sociological point of view, we are breeding, or we are going to sit on a sandbox. Now, you see what the Muslim coalition is talking about? You see what the parliamentarians are talking about? If Christians also rise up to say the same thing, some of the words being used, what is going to happen? For a long time, we have lived together. Why this time?
Dr. Christopher, is it possible for us to find a solution that satisfies everyone? Is it possible?
That is, we can do that only if we see religion from the point of view of society. I am a Christian leader. I train pastors across Africa. I train extreme Muslim leaders in Guinea Conakry. They love my teaching. Why? Because I didn't go there to impose a faith, my faith on them. Because all Christians have certain basic principles: honesty, holiness, purity. They love God. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, these are the principles that build nations, that brings us together. But if you go and say that we pray 5 times, so in a Christian school, you should be allowed to pray and also fast. Now, you see, you are imposing your religion on this society. Society means the school that do not believe in that. And that is what is happening, bringing all that we are saying. And I think we have to be very careful because, you see, religion should be expressed, but should be expressed in a more personal way.
Right.
The way you believe it. But once you want to bring it to the domain, for example, for a long time, we have lived as Ghanaians. As nurses, we are Ghanaians. Ghanaian teachers see themselves as Ghanaian teachers. Ghanaian soldiers see themselves as Ghanaian soldiers. Now, people are rising up let our people wear hijab. Now, the moment you start bringing let's wear hijab, what are you bringing? Discrimination, division. We are Muslims.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ampedu.
As Ghanaians.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ampedu. This one, I apologize, but we seem to have run out of time. And this is coming from my producer, not me. But thank you so much for summing the discussion up for us. We definitely understood the point. We're grateful to Dr. Christopher Ampedu, who's a sociologist. We also spoke with Honorable Alhassan Suyine, who is Member of Parliament for Tamale North, also a member of the Muslim Caucus. We also spoke with a member from the Muslim Organizations Association, who is Mansa Musa. And he also gave us the perspective of what had been released today, the very latest update on the releases where this particular incident is concerned. Thank you to you at home for staying with us through this 1 hour. We hope that we all were enlightened in different ways. My name is Nuong Falon. Good evening.